Right, just warning you, this next section is likely to be a load of gobbledygook, and I have put it off for a long time because, well, not a long time, for the rest of last week, because I didn't know how to piece it all together. So I'm just going to try and download as much as I can and then put it into a bit of an order. So it's Monday and it's an absolutely glorious day. Blue skies, sun shining. It's not absolutely boiling, but it's really nice, and I think it's going to get hotter over the next couple of days. So I want to talk about how the baby came, how the baby arrived, and how that and the impact that had on the training. I want to talk about the sleep routine and feeding, and my experience on how I feel getting up in the morning and having to complete the rest of the training plan. Talk a bit about IZZY, and hopefully talk a bit about what I see the challenges are in the next couple of weeks. So, addressing the elephant in the room of the arrival last week, it's been really difficult, and to sum it up and know what to say. And I've been talking about it with IZZY, saying I just don't know how best to explain it. And IZZY gave me a good bit of advice: just be yourself and just say how you feel, and it is what it is. Don't worry about whether it's the textbook explanation or description. All that matters is it's honest one, and that's what this channel's all about. So starting off, we were obviously booked in for the plan section on the Wednesday, so I chose to do the long run on the Tuesday, which I discussed and agreed with IZZY, and she was the believer that it was probably the most sensible thing to do as well. How silly that may have turned out. So I get back from a long run, ankle's really sore, so I soak them in ice. Then hobble upstairs to go for a shower and get sorted, and IZZY suggests we order a Nando's because it's the day before the operation, and it might be nice just to have a good, and the midwife explained that it might be good for you to have a good pig out and eat as much as you want, because you won't be able to eat for potentially a long amount of time on the day of the operation on the Wednesday. So we ordered the Nando's. I got up for a shower, barely been able to walk at this point because my ankles are sore and swollen, and IZZY makes a joke that I may not be able to go pick up the Nando's because I'm so sore, let alone walk around the hospital the following day and potentially hold the baby. So got up for a shower, come back down. As I'm about to grab the keys to go out, well, grab the keys just as I'm about to get out the door for Nando's, the baby lets us know that she's on her way, if you know what I mean. So then that was us straight to the hospital in a massive rush, and we left the Nando's. So we've emailed Nando's yesterday and asked if we could get a voucher, because we never got to pick up our food. We have to pay for it. What's this? So we go to the hospital, and long story short, baby arrives quarter to midnight, 23:44 on the 14th. So about 16 minutes before her due date, which is nice. She's early, so it's a good start. So yeah, sort of made us question whether that long run was a bit of a silly decision, because if the emergency happened halfway round the long run and I wasn't able to get back in a hurry, or he wasn't able to come pick me up, it was just a bit silly. So in hindsight, I spoke to IZZY, and it's probably a silly choice to go and do the long run, but based on the information we had available at the time and what we spoke about, it made sense. So it all worked out in the end. So the nature of her arrival was like a massive emergency. It was all systems go. So the sorts of emotions I anticipated didn't really happen because of the nature of the emergency. It was more relief and disbelief that when she was okay and Izzy was okay and we had her in our arms afterwards, it was just, I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, it took a while for it to all to sink in. Certainly bringing it, and it still hasn't sunk in every time. And someone said this to me before, but every time you leave the room and go back in the room, it's almost like you get that, you want to burst with joy and happiness and pride. So bear in mind it's early days. We're on day 6 effectively. But to give you feedback and my view on how that change of circumstances of having a baby affects the running and the training, it was quite manageable to fit in the remainder of last week's training plan around everything. I thought it was going to be really difficult to get anything done. I thought we wouldn't have a spare minute to breathe during the day, but it's actually probably turned out more relaxed. We've probably got more time than before the baby arrived because we were nesting and worried about getting everything, all jobs around the house done and all little DIY projects finished, and we just wanted to be as prepared as possible. So with regards to what life's like with a newborn within the first week, it feels okay. I mean, I'm on paternity leave, so that's a big contributor. So obviously going back to work would be a lot different, but it's not so bad. I might look back on this in weeks and months and think how naive it was to say that, but I can only give you my opinion of how it feels right now based on the information available today. So a bit on the sleep. She's a very hungry, greedy baby, so she feeds so much already, and she's already regaining a big amount of her weight loss during birth, regaining her birth weight. So for that reason, because she has a big feed, afterwards she naturally has a long sleep. So I'd say right now, it's gone from 2-hour intervals the first night to like 3-hour intervals of sleep and feeding the second night, and probably between 3 and 4 now. So the more she feeds, obviously the more she sleeps, if everything else is okay. So that's working out pretty well, which again I thought was gonna be a lot worse than it is. Every baby's different, every couple's different, every person's different, every house is different, every family's different, so I can only speak on our situation. But yeah, I expected the sleep to be a lot worse and the disruption to be a lot worse, but there seems to be a lot of logic to it. So like I say, if she has a massive feed, she then tends to sleep for a good period of time, which has got an element of predictability to it. So Izzy's been absolutely amazing. She went for a real difficult time, bless her, and it's really, I didn't, that's another thing I didn't fully appreciate, is potentially seeing her in the most pain she's likely ever to be in her whole life. And it's really difficult from the partner's perspective to try and support the mum through that process, because sometimes there's not a lot you can say, and there's not a lot of, I mean, the answer to some of the questions aren't what they want to hear either, but i.e., is it going to get worse? How long is it going to last for? And things like that. But we got through it, and time did fly by. At the time it felt like it was going to be an eternity, but looking back, although it lasted a long time, it was all over quite quickly. So Izzy's been absolutely amazing, and it's all worth it because how happy she is and how chilled she is now, compared to, I'd say, the last 9 months plus, because we've had a difficult couple of years, is all worth it. And it just absolutely just makes me so happy to see her so happy, and it's all good for it's all good energy for the family and the baby, so I just feel so grateful for her. So the big challenges I see are, if we're talking about running specifically, obviously if I wanted to talk about parenting, this channel could be, the scope of it would be so broad, and every episode would be like hours long. So I'm just going to talk about the impact a newborn will have on my running from my point of view. So if I switch everything around from a running related perspective, it's not because I'm just being I don't do this all the time, or I like to think I don't. I'm not being ignorant to everything else. This is what the channel is all about. It's about the London Marathon journey, so please cut me some slack with that. So without doubt, the biggest challenges last week from a running perspective were, number one, being in the right headspace to sequence the vlog and talking about how I feel. Really, that was a difficult part. I kept avoiding like summarising what happened this week and how I felt and all that, because I was just putting it off. So that was one of the biggest challenges. The second biggest challenge was all the visitors, and again, only from a running perspective, obviously it's great to have loads of visitors and it was lovely, but having the time to again sequence the vlog in and the runs, so I had time to go through things logically. So for that reason, it was difficult to the running, and actually getting the sessions done was quite easy, but it was the vlogging of it which was difficult. But I think it will get easier, because it will be into some kind of normal routine, as opposed to trying to best sum up an absolutely unbelievable life event, which is really difficult to talk about. So the biggest challenge for this week and next week, and maybe the next couple of weeks, if I could reasonably foresee what they might be, based on how I'm feeling today and how last week went, it's probably going to be getting the long runs done at the best time, because they're a good couple of hours at least at the minute. So they might be treadmill job. It depends on the temperature and everything else. So the long runs, I've just spoke to Izzy about as well. I think they're just going to be difficult to fit in because it's a prolonged period of time out of the house. But I haven't really got any concerns based on how we've got on the last week. I thought it would be, I thought Izzy would be more reliant upon me to do things for her, but she seems to be doing really well. We made a list of things you can't do around the house, because I know it's easy to get carried away, and your recovery will be affected by that. So that's that. And from a pure running perspective, I finished last week's vlog talking about the apprehension, but a bit anxious this week to see if I can get through it without niggles worsening. So my ankles and feet are quite sore. I mean, they haven't got any worse, I don't think, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed they keep getting better, and they enable me to keep going with this plan, because everything else seems to be okay. So overall, I just feel so grateful, and I didn't anticipate how much joy she would bring 24/7. So she just and it sounds really cheesy, but it's the best way to explain it, but she just makes the world a better place, and mine, Izzy's world, a better place, and we just love it, absolutely love it. She's changing all the time. feels like every hour she's doing different bits and pieces, and she's just a little angel, and I can just tell that my life's just going to be dedicated to her and Izzy. Not that it wasn't already, but it's just pure amazing. And I'm already in the frame of mind of, well, as long as she's happy and as long as Izzy's happy, then I don't care about anything else that's going on. I just, if they're both happy, then by default that makes me happy. It's as simple as that, really. So the amount of footage I've got of just me rambling on, I'm not sure how it's all going to fit together, but I'm sure it will. So happy Monday, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy the weather, get out and enjoy it, and I'm sure I'll speak to you tomorrow. Say bye.